I'm Mark.
I'm Adam.
This is the Chain Lift Podcast, episode 15.
Please, don't insult me, okay? I invented the chat and cut. This is amateur hour. If I was gonna do it, you wouldn't even notice. It's the pig Parker. This is chaos. Society can't function like this. That's just shoddy.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop, brother. Woo!
Oh, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
So why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
Chicken! McFly!
Well, the jerk store called. They're running out of you.
You're their all-time bestseller!
Pretty good.
Bro, we figure we's a little juice.
No, we sing the juice. Where's the juice? No, we sing the juice.
Great show tonight. We're gonna have a good one.
Yeah?
What a schmohawk!
Hey, what's up, guys? We are the Chain Lift Podcast. We have a special guest today, and his name is Nick Sabin, not the coach of Alabama, the football team, but Nick of Fort Wayne. You might also know him as Helldiver.
Helldiver.
You might also know him as the other half of Airtime Misfits.
That's me.
That's Nick.
And also, you sell clothes. And what's your channel? What's your
yeah.
But
So I sell vintage clothes. That's General Public Vintage.
that's right.
That's right.
Little coaster reference, but General Public Vintage.
Go
Check
buy
it
some
out.
shirts.
Yes. And we have Nick on this episode because Nick joined Mark and I recently on a trip down to Six Flags over Georgia. And so a little bit later in this episode, we're going to be talking about our experience visiting the park for the first time. So we have that to look forward to. But before we get into that, we're just going to talk about some of the hot topics in the amusement park news. And mainly, if you have a pulse and you have a Twitter account, you've seen that people are going nutso over Velocicoaster.
Never heard of it.
Is that one at Six Flags, Oklahoma?
Yeah. Yeah. So Velocicoaster opened to pass holders yesterday, May 2nd. Today's the 3rd, I think. And people are losing their mind over it. And it does look awesome. And I've been avoiding some of the spoilers because when we ride it for the first time, I don't want it to be completely spoiled. But it does look pretty cool.
Yeah, agreed. I think it
total silence.
You know what? It looks fine. It looks just adequate. I'll be the black sheep here and say it looks okay.
Yeah. Well, I did see. I didn't read all of this guy's post because I didn't feel like it. But he said that it was good, but to not let yourself get overhyped for it.
Yeah, that's sort of what that's the attitude I'm trying to take.
Yeah.
So my read on the coaster has always been, if it was just by itself, I think it would be a really, really good coaster. I think it'll still be like a strong, really good coaster because it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
The theming is just so next level on it.
Oh, yeah.
That I think it drives the excitement for it so much farther than it probably deserves for the coaster itself, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm going into expectations wise.
Oh, yeah. The theming definitely puts it over the top. And someone made a comparison to Terran over at Fantasialand.
That's fair.
Oh, yeah.
Which is over in Europe.
Yeah, it's in Poland.
Germany?
Poland?
Yeah, maybe it's Poland or Germany.
One of those. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, but as far as theming level, they're pretty equal.
Yeah.
And Velocicoaster has one of the sweetest inversions. Actually, two of the sweetest inversions I've ever seen. The Heartline roll over the water.
Yep.
Looks pretty awesome. And then there's another inversion that's it's kind of like a stall, but it's like a really long, exaggerated stall. Looks awesome.
Yep.
So I'm excited to ride it. People are obviously pretty hyped about it. The queue looks really awesome. Obviously, I mean, Universal Studios, you're going to get some top-notch theming. So
I wonder why they didn't invite Jeff Goldblum to ride it first.
They should have.
Or Chris Pratt.
Yeah, that's a good point. Chris Pratt, I'm sure. I doubt Chris Pratt rides roller coasters. Hot take. I doubt it. I think he's all bark, no bite on that one.
Ooh.
I would hope Jeff Goldblum would just say, must go faster the entire time.
Yeah. He'd probably like it, I'm sure. Yeah, so it opens to the public on June 10th. So if you're not a pass holder, you can ride it on June 10th. We're hoping to ride it sometime this summer or
Probably the fall, yeah.
Yes, so definitely gonna ride it. It looks great. Moving on.
Great segue.
Classic.
Cedar Fair, they're gonna be opening all their parks on May 22nd. And they just released some revised rules that they have with their CDC guidelines as far as COVID is concerned.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of COVID. Yeah. So to many people surprised, they're changing their rules about wearing masks in the park. It's no longer required to wear a mask in the park if you're outdoors. It's only required if you're going to be indoors or you're not able to socially distance. What are your thoughts?
Not a fan. Not a fan. Gotta say it.
My thoughts are, what is this, Alabama?
Exactly. Wear your mask. It's okay. You'll live.
I mean, you know, if you're vaccinated, you know, they're saying that you can be outside and comfortable with other vaccinated people. But the problem is we're not going to reach that threshold this summer.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still going to walk around with everybody just passing along here, potentially. It's probably, I guess I expected more out of Cedar Fair. But I mean, I'm still going to go. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but I don't know.
And obviously, it's still optional to wear a mask if you want to or not. I'm assuming, you know, majority of people at the park are not going to be wearing a mask.
No.
Nope.
I think they're keeping everything else in place. Like employees are going to be wearing masks. They're still going to have the spacing in the queue. But as far as like trains, they're going to fill them. You know, no more empty rows between seats. So it's
no more access passes too.
Yeah. They got rid of the access pass, which I'm happy
okay
about.
with that. Yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah, that was where you had to, if you got there, you know, in the morning and you wanted to ride Steel Vengeance, you had to get like in line to get a ticket to come back and ride it later. And
there was Millie, Steel Vengeance, Top of the Dragster, and Maverick, right? Those
those are the ones.
Yeah, and Wicked Twister.
Everyone was dying to ride Wicked Twister.
The access passes is available from 10 to 10.
Yeah, so as far as the not wearing the mask, I don't know. I mean, I'm vaccinated, Mark's vaccinated, Nick is vaccinated. So as far as our health,
clean ladies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And gents, I guess.
Yeah.
So whoever.
Right. Like, I'm not worried about going to the park. I feel safe and I feel like I'm responsible enough to keep myself, distance from other people. And if I feel like I'm wearing a mask still, I'll still wear a mask. But there's gonna be a lot of bozos there, that think like, oh, everything's gone and past now and we can do whatever we want and we can go back to licking the rails again
and dry humping your women in line.
Oh yeah. It's just
that
weird,
was always interesting.
Right. Of all parks to do this, I'm surprised it was Cedar Fair because they're the ones that kind of been the most strict, and
Six Flags takes the mantle.
I know, Six Flags doing the 6. Yeah.
Doing the 6.
But Cedar Fair, like they've purposely not opened their parks until May 22nd because Carowinds would have been open by now.
King's Dominion.
Yeah, King's Dominion. They're all open in April, I think, but I think they've decided to open all their parks in May to give time for people to get vaccinated and everything. So it's just kind of weird that they're so stringent on that, but then lax with the mask rules. But I know the CDC kind of, like Mark was saying, they kind of changed their stance on masks. They still encourage it, but it's safe if you can distance yourself.
Six Flags is keeping everything in, which I appreciate. I will say though, I trust Cedar Fair to enforce their rules more. Though.
Oh, big time!
Big
time.
I imagine that they will keep the 6 foot distance in the lines, and they'll be good about that. Where Six Flags is kind of the Wild West a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah. Still, I think they greatly overestimated the people of America getting vaccinated by May 28th.
Yes.
In a good spot.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And quickly before we move on, Cedar Point also did announce too, this is like a month ago, but we hadn't talked about it on the podcast, that they are closing their queue lines earlier starting from now on for the popular rides. So if you go to the park and the hours are from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., Mark and I would always jump in line, right at 9:59. If you were in the line, you could ride it, but that's no longer the case. They're closing, the line down so that it ends at 10.
So is this a new rule going forever, or is it just because of COVID?
As far as I know, going forward,
my guess is that's to encourage people to buy more fast lane passes and that nature.
Yeah.
That's I guarantee it's just an economic chess game they're trying to play with the GP.
Right.
Well, I was thinking too, like for Steel Vengeance, like they'll be there for maybe like 2 hours after close sometimes. You're cutting down on labor costs.
Yeah.
You're getting your employees to bed sooner.
It's mostly for the employees, I think.
It's probably mostly for the employees in the sense that like you're not paying them as long. I mean, I just am a little skeptical. I don't really believe that these large organizations really have the best interest of their employees at the forefront of their mind. I think it's about money. So, but I just a thought, just a hot take.
So is it gonna be a half an hour before, like they said?
It didn't say. It just said that Cedar Point announced that they will be closing lines for popular rides early to accommodate riders within the park operating hours.
I would say if it's anything more than 30 minutes, I think that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. From what my feeling was that, say, Steel Vengeance was at a 2-hour wait, they were probably going to try to have it close the line off so that, maybe they'll go an hour past their closing time. So maybe an hour early.
So what's the big ones, the main four?
They didn't say, but I would assume the most popular ones are Millennium Force, Steel Vengeance, Maverick, Top Thrill Dragster,
and Wicked Twister.
Wicked Twister.
Wicked Twister, yeah.
We're gonna stop that one at 9.
Dude, that's a couple extra hours. Yeah. So it's pretty lame. I think we've been to parks though where they do that, where they don't keep the line open all the way until close. I don't know if it's Six Flags, but I feel like I've been to parks like that. Whatever, it's just something we'll have to get used to, I guess, but it's not very cool.
Kiss an employee, it's 9:59. I'm getting in there. No longer can be said.
Exactly. Can't fight us all.
Those are the big topics in the amusement park news industry. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to tell you all about Six Flags Over Georgia.
Yeah, we're a triplet of peaches.
A triplet of peaches.
Hello, friends. The only thing better than riding a world-class roller coaster is having a world-class cup of coffee. And we got that cup of coffee for you.
Yes, we do. That cup of coffee is from Green Glass Coffee Company, located in Paw Paw, Michigan. They specialize in artisan roasted specialty coffees made honestly. They take pride in providing you coffee that has been resourced responsibly.
That's right, folks. So go to greenglasscoffee.com and get this delicious coffee. And when you wake up in the morning and you're drinking it and you feel alive,
think about us.
Think about us.
greenglasscoffee.com. Honestly made, honestly good.
So Six Flags Over Georgia, located, is it Marietta? Is that Austell, Georgia. You mentioned us being the three peaches. We were called the triplets on the trip.
By a lovely lady at a dollar store.
That's right, because we are all wearing like the exact same outfit, just by coincidence.
No, we planned that. Don't lie to the listeners. We planned it.
It was the jeans, black t-shirt, baseball hat.
Yep.
Yeah. So we were the triplets.
Yes.
First time at Six Flags Over Georgia. It from walking in, first impression for me anyway.
Wait, I got a more important question.
Okay.
When we were the Olsen triplets, who gets to be Mary Kate and Ashton? Who gets to be the good one? Who's Scarlet Witch? What's her name?
They're not triplets.
No, but they're like three. Moving on.
Okay, back on track. First impression of Six Flags Over Georgia when you approach the front entrance is I was very impressed because you're surrounded by Goliath. Georgia Scorcher's right there. As you walk in, you can go past, depending on where you park, either go past Mindbender or Twisted Cyclone. It's a really impressive front entrance, especially considering it's a Six Flags park. They're not always the best.
No, not at all. And I think that was my impression too about the park as a whole. It didn't feel like a Six Flags park. And that was pretty awesome because Six Flags parks are kind of like a prison in a lot of ways. Kind of concrete and metal and
fancy fairs. That's what I call them.
Yeah.
A fancy fair.
You know, they had your typical like DC areas and you know that sort of stuff. They looked much nicer than normal though. Like they felt like it flowed with the park. Yeah, in a way.
The park did have good flow, and it did have its like typical areas that you knew you were in a Six Flags park with the advertising everywhere and the blacktop, you know, and lack of trees and all that. But I would say
not much though.
No, not a lot. Like by Goliath, I would say kind of near Daredevil Dive little bit. Yeah, it's Superman. But for the most part, I would say like 70% of the park was pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean the one that I will just never get over is that, you know, Georgia Scorcher brought to you by some random credit union in Georgia. Like that kind of thing is just dumb. Yeah, I mean that, but you'll have that at pretty much every Six Flags park at least once, you know.
I still always wonder like how much like Twix paid them because I know like Twix was on like Raging Bull or something one year, and like I wonder how much they pay to put that credit union on those trains.
Yeah. That's a good question.
It's gotta be a good chunk.
When Nick and I wrote it for the second time, we were kind of discussing that. We kind of figured it was enough to cover the operating cost of the ride for the year or close to it.
That would make sense.
That. Yeah. I mean, it's got to be worth it enough for like Six Flags to want to make their ride look so stupid.
Yeah,
like
right.
Because
it looks terrible.
The lead car, well, all the trains on Georgia Scorcher, they're covered in this like baby blue wrap for the Georgia Credit Union, whatever bank.
Yeah.
It just looks bad.
Yeah, it's dumb looking. it's pretty glaring because like the color doesn't go with the rest of the ride at all.
No, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, right.
So front entrance, first impression was excellent, and then as you walk in, you got Twisted Cyclone right there to your right.
Great plaza.
Formerly Georgia Cyclone. RMC did their magic on that a couple of years back. And luckily when we went, we were there Friday and Saturday. It was not busy at all. So everything was a walk on. So like Georgia Cyclone, we were able to walk right on. But I don't know if this is normal, but it broke down 3 different times when we were in line for it.
It broke down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Luckily it was dead. We still rode a bunch of times, but it happened at least 3 or 4 times. We were like next in line. It's kept breaking.
It was horrible.
And I don't know what it was never shut down for long, but it was just, you know, it might have been
frequently.
Yeah, it was frequently, and it was like for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. It was just, I don't know if it was operator error.
It could have been. It's new in the season, a bunch of new workers.
Right. But we did ride it, and it is awesome. I will say it's near the top of the RMC coasters on my list anyways.
Me too. It's like you always know RMCs are going to be great. Everybody knows that. Going in though, I knew it was one of the shorter ones, but it still exceeded my expectations. It feels longer than it is. It's paced beautifully. Like it never slows down. It's never too slow. It's never too fast. It's perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't mind if it was a little bit longer, but I think that's the only bad thing I would say about it is it's a little short, but every moment of it is used to its like the full advantage of the layout. It's awesome, and like the first drop is insane because it like tricks you halfway down the drop. Because you think you're going straight, you know, you think you're going down and straight ahead, but you go down and at the last second you like turn to the left. It's really cool. Yeah.
Everything down from, you know, like the way you exit the station before you go up the lift hill, just those cool like little, it makes you think like you're on a wave or something. You're like, and then
you're a cyclone dude.
Right, in a cyclone.
and then the wave turn is awesome. That might be one of my favorite elements on any RMC.
I agree.
That wave turn is it's definitely in my top 10, but probably even higher of my favorite element on any coaster ever. That wave turn is insane on it.
Great. So great.
It's long. It's definitely the longest wave turn I've ever been on.
Yeah.
It's so long.
Yeah. I would say, I think what you're saying, Nick, about it feeling like you're on a wave at times is pretty accurate. That's how I felt. Is just like kind of you're floating around, going, you know, side to side and up over hills and stuff, like on waves.
Kind of gives it that backstory.
Yeah. And to me though, like comparing it to any other RMC coaster, Wicked Cyclone comes to mind, and also I can see some similarities with Steel Vengeance, but on a much smaller scale, obviously.
Much smaller, yeah.
But I would say those two are the closest in comparison, I would say, as far as layout and elements.
They're just nonstop too. Right. You know, Wicked Cyclone, Steel Vengeance, Twisted Cyclone, they're all just so, like, I don't even think there's a hint of trim anywhere in those. I mean, you're hauling the whole time.
Yeah.
And as far as RMCs, I would say it's my favorite looking one. I love like the sort of like off white and blue track. Yeah. It's so cool looking with like the orange on the signs and all that. It looks great.
That's super cool.
It looks really good.
And the trains.
They had great theming, like the signs going up the lift hill. And,
yeah, it's really good.
Highly recommend. I know people kind of shoot it off a little bit. I know I did a little bit. It looks like a fun ride, but it's so much better than you would think.
Yeah,
it really is.
I would say,
unbelievable.
I was expecting a good coaster, but it exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
I would say, moving on from there, the next coaster down the Midway is their Mine Train roller coaster.
What do you call it?
Dolphin.
I don't know.
Dolphin gills.
It's a hard to pronounce Mine Train roller coaster, but that thing, it has 3 lift hills. It's unique, but man, that thing was rough.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that was a one and done. I think I looked back and Mark was like, "Yep," and I will never ride that again.
Yep, that was it. The cred.
Yeah, that coaster has been there since the 70s, so I think
67. I looked. It was 67. Okay.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the original coasters at the park.
Yep.
It had some cool theming and some tunnels and all, stuff.
Charming looking.
Yeah,
the station's really cool looking.
Yeah, and the setting's great, but it's just an old, rough coaster.
Yeah.
Very rough. Yeah.
And then like you got your Superman flying Ultimate Flight, which for those who don't know, it was the original one, the first one built.
Yeah.
So this one's the best one for sure, I think, because it was built for the terrain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
It's
that
excellent.
Pretzel loop is punishing.
Oh yeah.
In all the best
Knock
ways.
the wind out of you.
It feels like an elephant sitting on your chest.
It really does.
But it's
Holy
so awesome.
Cow.
Yeah. And then right next to Superman is the Great American Scream Machine.
I tell you what, it looks great though.
The Great American Scream Machine,
it's surrounded by water, and like the station's so 70s looking.
It looks awesome. It rides like crap, but I've ridden worse at the same time though.
Yeah, it's very rough. It's like a typical out and back wooden coaster.
It's like an L-shaped.
Yeah. It's definitely got a pretty heavy rattle on it though. It's not. It has pretty fun moments, but overall, it's just a little bit rough.
I think the best, for sure, the best comparison for people who haven't rode it, I would say, is Mighty Canadian Mighty. What's that? Mighty Canadian Mindbuster.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. They're almost the same ride in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they're similar.
Yeah, but that's pretty close.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Same roughness, amount of roughness.
But yeah, and that's a Ace landmark. I know that ride when it opened, it was one of the tallest wooden coasters, or the tallest wooden coaster when it opened.
Yeah.
So it has historical value, so it's worth riding.
She's a beauty to look at.
Yeah,
trust me.
It's cool looking.
Yep.
And next to that, you got a big old hunk of crap.
Was it Blue Hawk?
Blue Hawk, which I kept calling Blue Fire. Is Blue Fire like a vaping product? I don't know.
Probably. It sounds like a vaping product. To get it at a gas station or something.
I will say Blue Hawk, if I offended anyone by calling it a big hunk of junk or pile of crap, whatever I called it. I didn't think it was the worst coaster, but I don't like those types of coasters at all.
No,
like
it's too much.
Like the mid-90s, aero looping coasters. They're not for me.
Was that 90s or was that like even late 80s?
I think it was late 80s and it was
Yeah.
Vekoma
Okay.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was a Vekoma.
Yeah.
I think it was
Formerly Ninja,
originally
right?
Yeah,
it was
it
Ninja.
used to operate at one of those pier parks in New Jersey, I
Mhm.
believe, like in its former life. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was all right. It was smooth, but just not very. It was a little too intense.
And of course, it has the newer trains when they repainted it and rethemed it, right? And it has
which
the
was
new vests.
much better.
I thought the vests were still pretty bad though.
They
were heavy.
They're very heavy. They really kind of push down on you in a bad way.
Mhm.
Like I just don't like vest restraints in general, but Vekomas are way worse than B&Ms. Like
Yeah.
they don't have any give.
And it has 5 or 6 inversions or more.
Five, I think.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's just a lot compacted in a tight layout, and it's just a bit much for me.
Yeah, I will say for some good things about it, though, it sits on all water, like completely on water, and it's really cool looking. And one thing that ride does have, like, almost better than a lot of coasters I've ever been on, it has some incredible head choppers on it, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh, very.
That's the
yeah.
headlight.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's the best part of the coaster is all the head chapter.
Because that ride, it's long. There's a lot going on, and it is cramped together. They don't waste any space in there.
Yeah,
It
it
makes
is
for-
very cramped.
Yeah, some good head choppers.
I was thinking about the layout of the park, and we forgot a very important one. Joker Funhouse coaster.
Oh, we skipped right past it.
It's a great.
Yeah.
Oh man,
A fun family coaster.
legitimately one of the better family coasters I've
Legitimately.
ever been on. Top 3.
Oh yeah.
I would have rewritten it if it wasn't down on that Saturday.
Yeah.
But like,
It's
man,
really
that was
fun.
kind of fun. Yeah.
You got a nice tunnel there too.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
smooth.
It's a big family coaster. It takes
Yeah.
up a lot of space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And there-
it's really solid.
Yeah, it's definitely not like the most thrilling thing ever, but it's not supposed to be. But at the same time, it's not one of those, dragon wagons or something.
Right. And it seems like usually with family coasters, we'll ride it once to get the credit and then never again. But this would be one I'd happily ride again.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
legit fun. Yeah.
Yeah. It's better than a lot of coasters at the park, honestly.
Yeah. Well,
It is.
yeah, that's fair.
It
I
really
mean,
is.
in my opinion, as far as enjoyment, yeah. How could we forget it?
Oh, before we move on to the next coasters, I do want to say this too, because we're kind of like, I'm thinking about the park. It's almost like a big circle.
It is, yeah.
Mhm.
For sure, one of the prettiest merry-go-rounds I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah.
It sits on top of this like hill, like right in the middle of the park, and it's surrounded by trees with these beautiful pathways. It's you literally forget you're in a Six Flags park. If you would think you're at Dollywood or like Silver City almost. It's crazy nice.
Yeah.
You get some great views up there too. Like you can look off and look down on the Mine Train coaster. You can look at the Joker coaster.
Blue Hawk, you
yeah.
can see Blue Hawk.
Yeah.
And of course, it has their antique cars that go around the mountain too, and it has a couple of nice flat rides up there that look great with the trees, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, really, really shocking when I saw it. I was like, holy crap, this is at Six Flags.
It's really nice
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
Oh, I also mentioned too, while we're in that area of the park, Monster Mansion,
Oh yeah.
which is a very unique dark ride, the one and
You're
only.
invited to a picnic.
Yeah.
My lasting memory would be that bird with the huge hooters that Nick was.
Oh yeah. Nick had his eyes on this monster.
Hey, we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. My wife might listen to this, man.
She had a huge rack.
They're called breasts. Civilized swine.
I was looked over. Nick was like a cartoon. His jaw was on the ground. His tongue was sticking out, and his eyes were going boo.
It's a really interesting dark ride. You get into a boat and you go around. So it's supposed to be like a flooded mansion, right? Oh, I did read that it used to be called like Monster Plantation.
Ooh,
originally.
that's not okay.
Yes.
That's not okay.
Yeah. So
Canceled.
For some reason they decided to change the name. I don't know why, but yeah. So it's really quirky. It's really weird. Some really old looking animatronic monsters, but it's very charming.
Oh yeah, we can't get enough like that sort of like 70s, 60s vintage charm.
Oh yeah.
And this thing just oozes it from the start to finish.
Oh yeah. And
I
the
won't
dark
spoil it.
ride aspect.
Oh yeah, I won't spoil it for you, but besides the bird with the big hooters, the first room is the coolest by far. Like
yeah,
it's really cool.
It's definitely, I would say, of the non-coasters at the park, this is on my list, the highest must ride
It's
for
cool.
first time people at the park.
A lot of fun.
Of non-coasters.
Yep,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on. I guess what's the next coaster? I guess we're spinning around there. Heading towards Goliath, aren't we?
Yeah.
I guess we talk about the DC section.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
You got your Gotham City section.
Or Gotham City.
Yeah. So usually most Six Flags park have just like a generic DC section, but this one actually has a Metropolis section, which you have Superman and then Justice League, and then they have a Gotham City section, which is cool. It might be the only park that has a Gotham City section with multiple rides.
At least at the parks I've been to.
Like Great America, I don't
has
think
one.
Yeah, but so in their Gotham City section, they have like a Catwoman ride, a Poison Ivy ride. They have Batman, which is the inverted B&M inverted coaster, which
you've ridden them once, you've ridden them all.
Yep. And then it has the Riddler Mindbender.
Yep.
And also a Joker Larson Looper. But yeah, so unfortunately, the Riddler Mindbender was not open. It's still undergoing some rehab, new paint, new trains. It looks like they're replacing some of the track. So we were pretty upset that we weren't able to ride it. We knew going in that it was closed and we probably wouldn't, but
we hear you hear a lot that some people think it's the best Schwarzkopf still operating.
Yeah.
We missed off. We missed out on it. So
it looks great. You can get a really good view of it from outside of the park.
Yep.
It's cool how the first drops down into a valley and there's a loop at the bottom of the valley, and it looks really fun. And I'm a fan of all Schwarzkopf coasters that I've been on. So
oh, absolutely. Yeah,
it was gonna be a good one.
Exactly. I'm like, of all the things in the trip, that is the biggest bummer, I would say, was just not being able to ride that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just trying to think the rest of the coasters here.
Well,
we got Georgia Scorcher.
You guys thought about the bank on it. And for the Riddler Mindbender, like people have asked, I would assume they're probably gonna open it like into May, early June. That's when Six Flags opens all their new stuff generally. So I would guess that's when it's gonna open.
Yeah. It seemed like it. I mean, it looked like it was close to being open, but you never know. But if I had to guess, probably June.
Early June.
May. And as I mentioned, and as I mentioned, there's the Batman invert. If you've been on that, you've been on all of them because it's cloned a billion times.
We rode that at night though. Holy
it's intense.
Crap.
Oh, it was warmed up and ready to go.
They had it cranked up to 11.
Oh, like we're not even exaggerating. Like we've been on all of I've rode them a million times. That thing, your skin was falling off your body. I mean, it was going so fast.
Intense. It was a fun ride for sure. So if you head back out of Gotham City, you go up the hill and you would end up by Goliath and Daredevil Dive.
Yes.
Which are pretty close to each other. We'll talk about Goliath first, though. For me, that was the coaster I was looking forward to the most. This was the last B&M Hyper coaster that I had not ridden.
Yeah, rub it in.
Yeah.
I'm missing Mako. I'm going to get that hopefully this summer.
Right. But man, it was freaking awesome. And I would say it might be my favorite B&M Hyper coaster.
I got it. Yeah, it's definitely my top 2, top 3. I haven't rode Apollo in quite a few years, but for sure, like all the time I had Apollo or Goliath are definitely my favorite B&M Hypers.
That's how I'm feeling too. Yeah.
Yep, I'd say it's probably my favorite. I'd have to re-ride Mako. It's been a few years, but Mako was my favorite up until I rode this one, I think. So
I was looking forward to it. Six Flags over Georgia kind of sits by itself. It's hard to kind of package your other parks. You're kind of far away from Florida. So a lot of people, they haven't been there, but the people who have been there, you always just hear people raving about Goliath, it's one of the best ones. And, I was expecting a 10 out of 10 coaster and I got it. I mean, it is a airtime machine, like floating airtime machine.
Oh, yeah.
And the turnaround is one of the coolest turnarounds I've ever been on any coaster. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like so much about Goliath is it's full of airtime, which is right up my alley. But that turnaround has just the right amount of intensity to make you almost gray out, but not quite. So it's like just the right amount of intensity thrown in with all like the airtime. Like it's like a really complete package coaster.
It really
experience.
is. Yeah.
There's not a millisecond when I'm on that coaster where I'm thinking like, okay, like you are full blown like 10 out of 10 like status the entire time. There's not a wasted track section on that ride.
No, it's great. And it was hauling every time we rode it. We rode at nighttime, daytime.
So great.
There is one trim brake on it, and it's right after the turnaround at the bottom of the hill.
Just to slow you down a little bit.
Yeah, and it didn't really have any effect on the ride, though. I don't think it was fine still. So, yeah, great coaster.
I really love the ending of the coaster, the finale. I guess you do it's just like a bunch of camelbacks, pretty much. But you're going through all the trees, though. It's super cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. That might be my favorite section, just because it's so. I mean, I don't know. It just makes you remember how long that coaster is. It's a long one because
it's really long.
And
you
the
start out.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say, like, you start out, you go toward like the entrance, and then you come back and you go through these trees. Like, it's a real experience. It's really fun.
Those airtime hill through the trees are fun. I know Mark stuck his hand out and smacked some of the branches.
I did. Yeah. And for riding at night, the camera's at the very end. It like blinds you.
Oh, it's like a blinding strobe light.
It comes out of nowhere after the trees.
Yeah.
They have an epilepsy warning or something. It was like crazy straight.
Yeah. It's great though. I mean, hands down, one of the best B&M hypers out there, in my opinion.
To me, like, it's so good. Like, Twisted Cyclone is so good that if like you really care about going to parks, it's worth paying the plane ticket just to fly to Atlanta to go to the park and check out Goliath and Twisted Cyclone. They are that good.
And the jugs on the Monster Mansion.
Oh, if for no other reason, you go to that park, find the jugs.
So do it.
Yeah. And then across the midway is Daredevil Dive.
Yeah.
Which is Gerstlauer Eurofighter.
And the quietest coaster ever.
It's surprisingly quiet. Like when you're waiting in the queue, it's hard to not notice how quiet the ride is, especially when you compare it to like Georgia Scorcher or Batman, which is that typical loud roar
90s being
of the B&M coasters. But if no one is riding on Georgia Scorcher, you wouldn't hear the coaster at all. You just hear people screaming every once in a while, but you don't hear the train itself really.
No, it's unbelievable. Like I've said before, like of single ride I've ever been on, that particular one on the Friday night, because we're on the next day, it was a little windier and you could feel it shaking a little bit. But that Friday night though, like there wasn't like a jarring incident. There wasn't anything. It was just like riding on a cloud the entire time.
Smooth,
not a noise to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was really fun. It has 3 inversions. Every inversion is really fun. The last inversion is like a heartline roll, which you go through pretty slow, so you get some cool hang time.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
You got a tunnel. It's really fun. God help you if you ever go on a busy day and you have to wait in line because the ops are incredibly slow.
Yep.
Jeez.
I mean,
You're
luckily when we went both days, no one was at the park really, so I think we waited 20 minutes, but I mean,
the line was almost at the station.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost a station wait, but we still waited 20 minutes because it's one car holds 6 people and there's only 3 trains, so it's 6 people at a time.
It's not even Six Flags' fault, which it usually always is Six Flags' fault. But
they were cranking out the trains.
It's just what the ride does.
Yeah,
and apparently has 810 riders per hour is the number they get.
That's more than I would have guessed. Honestly,
So,
I would have guessed like 50 an hour. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because even there's a point in the queue, like halfway through, there's a sign that says if you are at this point is about 180 minutes.
By halfway, a little over
halfway through. So I just can't imagine waiting that long. No. I wouldn't do it.
So
no,
if you go, forget Twisted Cyclone and forget especially Goliath, because we all know B&M hypers are people eaters.
Yeah.
Go right to Daredevil Dive and knock it out early.
Mm-hmm. Get there before the line.
Just get it out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I agree. And then rounding out back towards the entrance is Georgia Scorcher, which we touched on a little bit earlier as their theming anyways, the credit union theming. But the ride itself, it was the last B&M stand-up coaster built in America.
Smartly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Nick and I rode it twice. Mark rode it once.
I was getting footage.
Mark was getting some footage.
But actually, I snuck a free Goliath ride.
Yeah, that's fine. But I think Georgia Scorcher was a fun coaster, and I don't like stand-up coasters usually. No, I will say I don't like stand-up coasters. There's not any that I like particularly, but this one I liked it, and I found it to be re-rideable actually.
Yeah, and before I get the floor to the biggest stand-up coaster fan in the world, than Nick.
You're right.
I don't like stand-up coasters much at all. It didn't do anything for me, but easily though, it's the best stand-up coaster I've been on. I've been on most of them, but the one at Magic Mountain, right? That's pretty much
Riddler's
it.
Revenge.
Yeah.
The track layout's the best. There's some cool elements on it, but I don't need it. I got my credit. I'm done. So
I get it. Here's the thing. You can tell that B&M knew that this was the end of the stand-up coaster era. But at the same time, you can tell that they figured out how they needed to engineer it to make it the best experience by this point, because it was a short and in length and height. It was the right amount of whip to where you weren't like banging your neck or crushing your nuts too many times.
Right.
Two inversions,
which is you don't need more than that on a stand-up, or else you just risk
hurts your legs. Yeah,
you risk your livelihood, your manhood, everything. So you just, I think I really love Georgia Scorcher. I do think Riddler's Revenge is better, because I think that Riddler's Revenge is sort of it's the opposite of Georgia Scorcher in that it's like longer and more flowy, and it really works that way. Georgia Scorcher is a lot more compact, and there's more kind of intensity to it. But they're both. I mean, I thought Georgia Scorcher was great. I rode it in the front, and we rode it in the like fifth row, and both were great rides.
Yeah,
to me, it reminds me of a bigger vortex.
Yeah,
like it's kind of between like they built the vortexes, and they thought, well, this isn't enough. They built Mantis and like Chang and all that. It's like, well, this is too much. So then they kind of were like right between more towards Vortex with like the only two versions. To me, I not having rode Riddler's Revenge, but I've rode those. It was almost like they learned their lessons from both of them, and they made Georgia Scorcher, which I think for a stand-up coaster is kind of the best you can really do.
I agree. I think even the layout is even similar to the first B&M stand-up coaster, Iron Wolf.
Or
very similar.
Apocalypse.
The layouts are pretty similar. Yeah, I liked it for those reasons. It wasn't super tall. It wasn't super fast. Only 2 inversions. I felt like it was just a lot more comfortable of a ride.
I didn't think it was too painful. I just think standing on a coaster is just so unnecessary to me, though. I don't know. Oh, thanks.
to each their own, Mark.
Yeah, I know.
Just lift your legs up and just sit on the little bicycle seat.
I've done that before.
That doesn't really help, though.
No, it hurts more almost in the legs.
It hurts. It hurts your gooch.
Yeah, I feel like I've tried every way possible of riding a stand-up coaster to find the most comfortable, but there's just not really a comfortable way to ride it.
I've tried slouching before it locks. I've tried like standing straight up as straight as possible.
Locking your knees, and then you have to figure out what to do with your head. Do you lean back or lean forward?
Because it does have those old B&M harnesses still, doesn't it?
Over the shoulder. Yeah. Which I like that better than the vest.
Well,
honestly.
you could
depending what it is.
You can really bang your ears though, your head on those.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so that's all the coasters. I don't think we missed any.
No, I don't.
I think at this point we gotta get your there's 11 coasters there. We missed Riddler, Mindbender.
Yeah,
so what's your 10? Do you have your 10?
I got my 10 right here.
Let's hear it.
All right.
Okay, this is Helldivers.
This is Helldiver
coaster of Six Flags over Georgia.
Coming in at number 10.
Oh, I gotta do that. Coming in at number 10.
The scary YouTuber guy voice. Obviously, you guys know what I'm gonna say. What's number 10?
Dolly Linger.
Dolly Linger, Dolphin Gill's Mine Train. Dolly Parton, Gosh Darn Mine Train.
All right.
Yeah, that's number 10 for sure.
Number 9.
Coming in at number 9.
I'm gonna try to do 10 different voices.
Okay.
Number 9. Oh man, this was a tough one because there are quite a few that could have fit in this spot. But I'm gonna go Batman the Ride. Unpopular opinion. It was too much for me.
How dare you?
It was way too much for me. I'm sorry.
It was much worse there.
Yeah. Oh, I know. But that ride was downright unpleasant and borderline nauseating. It was just way too much.
It was definitely turned up a notch.
Yes.
Crazy.
Oh yeah. it was greased up and ready to roll.
Someone lubed up the rails before you rode it or something.
They really, I would not have been surprised. It was nuts. I'm glad we didn't ride it backseat because I would have definitely passed out. So now coming in. Oh, sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
How dare you?
Yes, your turn. Go
Coming
ahead.
in at number 8.
Number 8.
Is that
Number 8. This is why it was tough because I could have gone either way, but I put Blue Hawk above Batman because of the head choppers and just kind of the unique nature of it.
Sure.
So two head choppers are better than Batman.
Yes.
I can kind of see why you would do that.
Yeah, you guys are nuts.
Yes, definitely.
Just point at me. You can keep talking, but just point at me when you want me to do my number 7, so I don't cut you off. Are you good?
Yeah,
I'm good.
I just want to never cut you off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh right. No, I'm used to being cut off. Whatever that means.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Do it.
That's
not a knife. This is a knife. Here's number 7.
Is that Crocodile Dundee?
Crocodile Dundee with number 7. Yes. Number 7. I'm gonna go Great American Scream Machine.
Yeah.
It was rough. It was kind of charming. Had some decent floater. Very fun to look at.
Yeah.
Not a great ride. So number 7 for me. That's that. So
it's number 6, sugar.
Number 6. Okay. Number 6, Joker Funhouse Coaster. Yeah. I liked it a lot. Yeah, I really did. And I feel really lame.
No need to feel lame.
It was a great ride.
I agree. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is number 6?
Number 5.
Number 5.
Oh. Hi, this is Mark. It's number 5.
Mark from the chain.
We're running out of voices already.
Number 5. Man, this was another tough one. But I went with Superman Ultimate Flight. I thought it was a lot of fun. But it's one of those rides where, yes, this was definitely the best of the 3 Supermans. But again, you rode one, you've ridden them all. So nothing crazy. So it was number 5 for me.
I could see that. Yeah.
Ah, your precious armory. What's your number 4?
Is that bank?
Yeah. Your precious armory. What's your number 4?
Number 4. This was a tough one again because this is where you're getting into the big 3 territory. You know, we all know what the big 3 are there.
Yeah.
But I went with Daredevil Dive for number 4. Controversial.
I know what number 3 is.
Yeah, of course you know what number 3 is. But Daredevil Dive was very fun. It was very smooth, easily the smoothest ride I've ever had on anything. But I just have an affinity for number 3.
This is 3?
What was that?
I was trying to cut my voice out without
it sound like you.
Come on, guys! I'm trying to do 10 voices here. Give me some.
Sound like your O face.
I was gonna say this is a family show. I gotta watch what I was gonna say.
What a perv! He's getting his jollies off.
Think about that bird.
Oh. Number 3. Georgia Scorcher. I had to do it. It was awesome. It was such a good ride.
As Mark said earlier, Nick is the biggest enthusiast of stand-up coasters that I've ever met.
Yeah.
Oh, and I would hate to meet anybody that was a bigger fan.
Yeah.
It's just not acceptable.
Especially Mantis. Nick is the biggest fantas of Mantis. That's
the truth.
Fact. He has the largest collection of Mantis memorabilia known to mankind.
Yep.
I sure as heck better. I sure as heck better be. But yes, Georgia Scorcher, as we talked about, Georgia Scorcher or Scorcher? Georgia Scorcher was a lot of fun. I promise I'm not drunk. But yes, it was. I fully acknowledge, realistically, yes, stand-up coasters are not very pleasant, but I do enjoy the experience. They're very nostalgic to me. I enjoyed this in it. I don't think it could have gotten better. You know what I mean? And number 2, this is where we're. Whoop, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, would you be in favor of them converting it to a floorless?
No, I would not, because I think
don't
as a
think they need
floorless,
to. Yeah.
yeah, and I think as a floorless, you almost have to have more inversions, or else it'd just be boring.
Yeah, I agree.
Despite my stance on stand-up coasters, they should absolutely do that stand-up coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Do not change that one.
Yeah, leave it.
Yeah, leave that one. Leave Riddler. Call them pieces of history, and that's that.
Yeah, I agree. That's
Uh,
you. You're out of voices. I knew it.
I know. No, hold on. This is Dracula number 2.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
That might have been the best one yet. Oh man, this is where it's gonna get controversial, and I'm gonna get crucified by some, but this is just the way it is, and just kind of what I prefer. Goliath. That's number 2.
Okay.
Goliath is number 2.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, because at the park we were kind of going back and forth.
Like, which is better, you know, number 1 or Goliath? And number 1, by the way, I just want to even introduce it. It's of course Twisted Cyclone. But
no, I got to do my number 1.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What do you got anything more to say about Goliath?
Yeah. No, Goliath. It's one of those things. I never do well with top 10, top 50, top whatever coasters, because in my mind, each coaster is something unique. And like comparing Twisted Cyclone to Goliath is like comparing apples and oranges. They are totally different coasters in every respect. You get something totally different out of each of them. So I love Airtime a lot, but I just love the wild ride of an RMC. And that's why I had to say Twisted Cyclone is my favorite. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No. This is Dusty. I'm in the suck zone from Twister. Here's your number 1.
Here's your number 1.
I was trying to make it topical.
Is that Philip Seymour Hoffman's character? Yeah. The suck zone.
The suck zone. I don't like that. The suck zone is Twisted Cyclone.
Should you just always say like cowbun? He's like
he was kind of like a pothead couch potato guy, wasn't he?
Did he have to rhyme with Bill Paxton's wife?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Do you want to meet?
We got cows.
We need food. Food.
Okay, go ahead. Twister. Cyclone.
Yes, Twisted Cyclone was awesome. I have to think about. Like I said, I hate doing top whatever lists, but it's somewhere in my top 3 or 5 RMCs. It's just so good.
Only
it's so good.
5, huh?
It's not my number 1.
Why?
That will always be Steel Vengeance until something. I don't know. I don't even know if it can be topped, but it might be number 2. See, that's the thing. I got to pray about it. I got to think about it. I'm a religious man. I got to think about these things. Pray about it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know exactly where it's at for me, but I would say it's top 3 RMCs for me. Top 3 or 4.
I haven't thought about it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. They're all excellent, but it's near the best. So.
All right. Before we go, we got one more top 10 list to do. Rank my top 10 voices. Counting down the top 10.
Oh man, I don't know. Dracula, that might have been
number 1's Dracula. The worst is when you had I'm trying to keep it PG. And you're pleasuring yourself.
That one
happy ending.
That one was that one was my favorite.
It was one I was trying to sound like I was cutting out.
Oh, you were cutting out of your
the Bane
pantaloons.
Too.
Yeah.
What do you know about pressure?
I have kissed a man. Ace Ventura. All right. If people have never seen these movies, we're just sound like idiots.
We're just a bunch of old dudes in quoting old movies.
I think Twister came out in 94 and Ace Ventura came out like in 92. Yeah. So you gotta be yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Kiss the man. All right. So that's we're gonna wrap up this podcast, is what I was trying to say. Before we do that, what did you guys learn in this episode?
I do a dead-on impression of Dracula.
I thought Dracula was in the room. I had to look around for a second. I learned that Nick has a crush on an animatronic monster with huge boobs.
I have high standards. What
What'd
can
you
I
name
say?
Her?
What would I name her?
Yeah, what's her name?
I feel like some sort of well-endowed East European woman named like Helga.
Helga, yeah, right.
It
couldn't be or Olga or Helga or something
Olga,
like that.
Helga, yeah. Maybe. Oh, yeah.
Helga Feathers.
Helga Feathers. She's got Helga
Her
Feathers.
last name is Feathers.
All right, hey, that works. Yeah.
Was that a foul name?
Oh.
I get it. Like FOWL. Thing. Nick, did you learn anything on this episode other than you're not ever gonna do it again?
Hey, I've done it once before and survived, so I'll probably do it again.
Yeah.
But, you know, I learned a lot. Boy, this was a life experience. It was like a college course.
It was.
You know, well, how do you describe what you learned in a mere 40 minutes that Zoom allows?
You can't.
I learned that we're all on the same on the inside. Yes. I learned that we're all on the same on the inside, and
Yes.
we're the triplets, but we're all triplets. So take that
Very
for what
profound. Yes.
I'm glad you had the last word. Don't give it to me. I'll ruin it.
Yes. Before we leave, do you have any stuff you want to plug again? I know we did it at the beginning, but go ahead again.
Yeah, follow us, Adam and I. We have a company called Airtime Misfits. It's an offshoot of the Chain Lift.
Yes.
And we talk about defunct coasters. We have podcasts. We're gonna do another episode here soon. We're on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and we also have some cool stuff in our store.
Mm-hmm.
And check out General Public Vintage. It's a vintage clothing company that I operate.
You find some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Found some fun stuff in Atlanta.
If when we're down in Atlanta, you could either find us at Six Flags or a bunch of Goodwills.
A lot of thrift store shopping. Yes. We found some sweet stuff. Yeah.
As they say, it does not stop. The hustle never stops. So
you can see all Nick's Atlanta Falcons jerseys on his Instagram page.
I already sold 2, so now I got to restock my Falcons jerseys.
You found what, 4 or 5 of them on that trip?
Yeah.
Did you sell the Michigan Man Lawyer Malloy one?
Not yet. I might be asking too much on that one. It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Me and Adam got the finds of the trip though. If you go on our Instagram page, you can see Adam's sweet hat again.
Yeah, I found an awesome trucker hat from the 80s. I would guess it said, if you can't run with the big dog, stay in the porch.
Ooh. Stay in the porch. Uh-oh. That's my cue.
Yeah, Mark got some cool pig playing guitar shirts and stuff. Yeah.
I got a muscular pig playing guitar and a wife beater and jeans.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All good stuff.
Well, you know what they say, when the ginger baby sings, it's game over.
Time to wrap it up. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being on the episode, Nick. I'm sure we'll have you on again. We're going to do another trip later this summer, and we'll talk about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys. Hopefully we didn't offend you too much with our boob talk and Mark's weird.
Never offensive.
So when you marry Haggard Feathers, will you be taking her name?
Haggard.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Nick Feather.
I'll be Nicholas Craig Featherbottom.
So now you got 3 nicknames: Helldiver, Nick Feathers.
All right.
Go get your baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.